The Fallout series presents a world in which survival is no longer a matter of comfort or success, but of persistence in the face of conditions that should, by all reasonable standards, make continued existence impossible. Nuclear fire has erased nations, irradiated the land beyond recognition, and fractured humanity into scattered remnants clinging onto ruins that were never meant to last this long. And yet, life endures, often in forms that are warped, degraded, or fundamentally altered by radiation, but alive nonetheless. Because of this, strength in Fallout cannot be understood in simple or conventional terms. It is not enough to ask who is the most dangerous in a fight, or who possesses the largest army, or who commands the most advanced technology. History within the Fallout universe repeatedly demonstrates that these forms of power are temporary, brittle, and often self-destructive. Entire factions rise to dominance like the Enclave or the Brotherhood of Steel, only to vanish within a generation, leaving behind nothing but abandoned bunkers and malfunctioning machines. So, when we ask who the strongest character in the Fallout series truly is, we are really asking who best embodies the ability to endure in a world where endurance itself has become unnatural and warped by radiation. This video will only examine Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, excluding player-created exploits and focusing strictly on canonical events and characters as they exist within the narrative, so no Fallout tactics, alright? Strength will be evaluated not as a spectacle, but as a composite of physical resilience, long-term survivability, independence from external systems, and the degree to which a character appears to be able to persist without obeying the internal logic of the wasteland. By the end of this analysis, one character will emerge as demonstrably stronger than all others, not because they dominate the wasteland, but because they are fundamentally untouched by its most lethal dangers. Fallout 1. In Fallout 1, survival is framed in terms that, while harsh, remain internally coherent. Radiation is dangerous and frankly underestimated. The world is hostile, with aliens, mole rats, deathclaws, and other abominations lurking in the shadows of the wasteland. But the world follows rules that are at least partially recognizable, allowing strength to be measured in terms of adaptability and physical limitation determined by the player. The Vault Dweller exemplifies this kind of strength. They survive through resourcefulness, combat skill and social navigation, but their endurance is always conditional and dependent on the player and their playstyle. Without a well thought out tactic, the Vault Dweller is as vulnerable as anyone else, and their success depends on constant interaction with the world around them. The Master, on the other hand, the game's primary antagonist, represents an escalation of power that goes beyond individual survival and towards ideological domination. Having abandoned the human body entirely, the Master exists as a grotesque fusion of flesh, machine and FEV mutated biomass, sustained by technology and commanding an army of super mutants capable of overwhelming most human settlements. And yet, even this extreme form of strength has clear limitations. The Master relies on brittle infrastructure, on the continued functioning of his systems and mutant armies, and on the belief that his plan for humanity is viable, which, as we all know by now, is in reality completely unviable. When that belief is undermined, his strength collapses with it. He is powerful, but his power is dependent, contingent, and ultimately fragile. This establishes an important pattern that persists throughout the series. Most forms of strength in Fallout are impressive but conditional, and when those conditions fail, so does the power built upon them. Fallout 2. Fallout 2 significantly expands the scale of the world and the extremes of Fallout 1, introducing new factions and individuals who appear, at least initially, to transcend the limitations seen in the first game. Frank Horgan stands out as the most prominent example. A former Secret Service agent, transformed through Enclave-led FEV exposure, cybernetic augmentation, and permanent integration with advanced power armor, Horgan represents the Enclave's best attempt to create the ultimate enforcer. He is physically massive, capable of tearing through trained soldiers with ease, and resilient enough to withstand weapons that would obliterate ordinary humans. From a purely combat-oriented perspective, Frank Horgan appears almost unbeatable, and his reputation within the series reflects this. Even other Enclave personnel treat him with fear, recognizing that his presence represents overwhelming, immediate violence. However, despite this extraordinary physical dominance, Frank Horgan remains embedded within a system that sustains him. He requires medical assistance, logistical support, and a functioning command structure to direct his actions. He is a weapon rather than a self-sustaining entity, and once the Enclave collapses, the framework that enables his existence collapses with it. Frank Horgan's death underscores a recurring truth in Fallout. Even the most extreme physical strength is subject to entropy, and no amount of brute force guarantees permanence. So we have to look on to find the strongest character of the Fallout series. Fallout 3. Fallout 3 shifts the tone of strength towards spectacle and symbolism, with power increasingly represented through iconic imagery rather than personal survivability. Liberty Prime, the towering pre-war military robot resurrected by the Brotherhood of Steel, embodies this shift perfectly. Designed as a weapon of total annihilation, Liberty Prime can destroy fortified positions with ease, shrug off conventional attacks, and even deploy nuclear ordnance as casually as a human soldier might throw a grenade. In terms of raw destructive capacity, Liberty Prime surpasses nearly every other entity in the series. However, this power is entirely dependent on external systems like Frank Horgan. Without power, maintenance and operators, Liberty Prime is inert, incapable of acting or even existing in a meaningful sense. Liberty Prime does not survive the wasteland independently, it is temporarily imposed upon it. Once the conditions supporting its operation fail, its strength evaporates instantly, reinforcing the idea that spectacle alone does not equate to endurance. Fallout 4. When Fallout 4 arrives, the internal logic governing survival in the Fallout universe has already been stretched close to its breaking point. So-called synths challenge the definition of humanity. Radiation storms sweep across the Commonwealth with surprisingly limited long-term consequences, and super mutants roam freely despite the collapse of the institutions that created them. Within this increasingly unstable framework, Fallout 4 introduces a side quest that at first glance appears minor and easily dismissed as a darkly humorous side quest. The player encounters a refrigerator in a ruined suburban neighborhood. And inside the refrigerator is a child named Billy. Billy claims that he was trapped inside when the bombs fell, and crucially, the game never contradicts him. Billy is a ghoul, which immediately explains his resistance to radiation and aging, but it does not come close to explaining the full scope of his survival. According to his own account, Billy has been sealed inside a standard pre-war refrigerator for over 200 years, trapped in complete confinement with no access to food, water, sunlight, or meaningful movement. When the refrigerator door is finally opened by the player, Billy emerges coherent, emotionally intact sort of, and physically capable of walking away, expressing fear and relief, but showing no signs of severe psychological collapse or physical deterioration beyond what would be expected of a ghoul trapped inside a fridge for 200 years. This scenario, when examined seriously, represents a level of endurance that eclipses every other character in the series. Even among other ghouls, survival typically still involves scavenging, shelter, and interaction with the environment. Ghouls elsewhere in the Fallout universe eat, drink, and seek protection from extreme conditions. Billy, however, does none of this. He does not ration supplies, enter stasis, or rely on external systems. He simply remains alive in an environment that should make survival impossible, even by Fallout 4's already generous standards compared to other games. The refrigerator itself offers no plausible explanation for its use nor existence. It is not sealed as a life support chamber like the one your character is stuck in at the start of the game, nor is it portrayed as specially reinforced or as a particular safe haven. It is just an ordinary household appliance, abandoned in the ruins of a world that has long since moved on. Yet, Billy outlasts that world anyway and holds on. Trapped inside a cramped refrigerator for over 200 painstaking years. If strength were defined solely by combat effectiveness, Billy would not even be a contender. He cannot fight, command, or intimidate. He's just a little child. Well, sort of. His aging has been slowed because of his ghoulification, but still, he looks and acts as a little child. And he does not dominate territory or shape political outcomes through force like many other characters do in the game. However, the Fallout series repeatedly demonstrates that common strength is ephemeral. Armies fall, machines fail, and ideologies collapse under the weight of time and decay. Billy's strength lies elsewhere. He demonstrates absolute independence from resources, surviving centuries without sustenance. He exhibits resistance not only to radiation, but to starvation, dehydration, sensory deprivation, and the psychological strain of prolonged isolation. And most importantly, he persists without effort, strategy, or adaptation, suggesting that the normal constraints governing life in the wasteland simply do not apply to him. In doing so, Billy effectively renders every other form of strength irrelevant. Frank Horgan can kill almost anything, but he cannot wait 2 centuries in a metal box, I guarantee you. Liberty Prime can annihilate armies, but it cannot exist even without power. and the Master can reshape humanity, but only as long as his systems remain intact and his armies remain loyal. Billy does not need any of these things. He just waits. To conclude, when strength is defined as the ability to endure indefinitely without support, decay, or surrender to time itself, the answer becomes unavoidably clear. Billy the Kid in a fridge demonstrates a level of survivability and perseverance that no other character in the Fallout series can match. He survives total isolation, complete deprivation, and centuries of environmental hostility without meaningful degradation, and he does so passively, without struggle nor adaptation. He does not conquer the wasteland necessarily, and he does not fight it, he simply outlasts it. And in a universe where everything else eventually collapses, that may be the greatest strength of all. Guys, please help me change this number. This subscriber count is pitiful. It's totally not edited, trust. I mean, 100% not subscribed. Why are you guys are not subscribing? Why?